So within any given stream, there's a concept called resolution and bitrate. There is keyframe, there is B frames. Yeah, so let's only talk about the first two. So bitrate is basically the amount of data that goes into each frame. So the more bitrates you have, the more quality, the more information you have in those bits. Imagine you have 6,000 bits in a frame or a second. That means you will have less information about the pixels. If you have more bitrate, there will be more information. Obviously, less bitrate means less space, or we can say less size of the image. That means you don't really need much storage or much internet speed. If you're talking about streaming, then 6,000 megabytes is faster to transfer. But if you're talking about storage, then 6,000 megabyte KBs video takes less space to store, obviously with lesser quality. Then comes the encoding. So H.264 it takes more bitrate to produce the same quality compared to H.265. So H.265 might take, let's say, 10,000 bitrate, but H.264 might take 20,000 bitrate to just look the same. And there comes AV1, which is again the current new open source version, where it takes 6,000 bitrates to match a 10,000 or 15,000 bitrate of a H.265 image. Let's forget about comparing AV1 to H.264. H.264 is very old. It's free, but it's very old. It's highly compatible, but it's very old. But a 1080 frame will always have the same size. The time taken to stream that one frame depends on the bitrate is better quality to some extent. After that, you won't really see much difference, even in recording or even in YouTube or Twitch. And then comes platform differences. So let's say, let's talk about YouTube. Let's say YouTube has much more quality of 1440p, but 1080p completely sucks in YouTube. It has a much higher aggressive encoding, but the thing is, when you send a 10, and you on the other side, which 1080p looks much better than YouTube's 1080p, but YouTube 1440p looks better than any other platform, because YouTube 1440p uses VP9, 1080p uses VP8 or some older encoding, but 1440p, it's a very interesting thing about these encodings and whatnot. I was really struggling. I wanted to stream 4K, not 4K, like I wanted to stream 1440p AV1. If you have AV1 enabled in your YouTube, and if your hardware supports AV1, your streams would look much higher quality, and it takes less internet too. Why? Because AV1 is much more efficient than H.265 or H.264. So encoding is nothing but taking an image, making sure it is internet compatible, and there are a bunch of different ways to do it. H.264 is basically using GPU for encoding. X.264 is taking CPU instead of GPU to encode. It produces much higher quality, but again, it takes a lot of resources. It's really slower than GPUs. Obviously, you're running on CPU anyways. And then comes GPUs, and AMD version, NVIDIA version, Intel version. They all have their different encoders. They all say H.265, but the quality, there would be quality difference. Yeah, I can go on a bunch of times about this encoding and streaming qualities, because I've been streaming for a long time now. Yeah, there comes the bitrate. Obviously, if you don't have enough internet to push 35,000 kilobytes per second, then that means you wouldn't have any better quality. Thanks for the like.